The stands may be silent, but supporting where you're from has never been so important. SuperValu supporting the GAA All-Ireland Football Championship for over 11 years, bringing you the best of GAA conversations.
Welcome along to the Bernard Brogan Podcast, brought to you by SuperValu, proud sponsors of the 2020 Football All-Ireland Championship. Today is episode 3, and I'm delighted to say I have one of my sporting heroes on the line. Shane Lowry, how are you doing?
Bernard, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm in good form. Are you back home now, or have you any more golf to play?
Yeah, I'm home. A week ago, and I'm home until the new year. So delighted to be home for a few weeks anyway. I've been doing a lot of travel. I spend a lot of time away from home and away from the girls. So it's nice to get back and just really chill out for a few weeks, and then kind of look forward to 2021, and let's hope it's better than 2020 anyway.
Yeah, I'd say it was difficult. Did that affect your preparation much in kind of over the summer when you were playing? Obviously, Wendy and Iris would travel the odd time with you when you're doing long stints in the US. Did that affect you this year, do you think?
Yeah, without making too many excuses, I felt like my game was great at going into the Players' Championship back in March, and then obviously we got called off that week, and then we didn't play till the end of June or something. And I played a lot of golf actually during lockdown. I was in Florida, and golf courses were open, and the golf course I was a member of was closed for about 5 weeks, so I got 5 weeks off. But then when I got back, I played a lot of golf and practiced a lot. And to be honest, I probably played and practiced too much leading into my return, and I just struggled to find a bit of form when I came back. And it was difficult, but I felt, it's kind of funny. I felt like I'd find a bit of form at the end of the season, and now another break as well. But that's kind of the way it is, and I wouldn't be too displeased with my season. But obviously, it's kind of I think 2020. Apart from the guys who've won the big tournaments or won tournaments, I think the rest of us will be happy to put it behind us and move on, and hopefully, get off to a good start next year.
Although you didn't bring home the green jacket, and I'm sure you will yet, you did have a nice end to the year with playing with one of your heroes, Tiger Woods. What was that like? I know you played with him before, but on Masters weekend.
Yeah, I've actually not played with him before, so that was kind of
sorry.
That was been drawn with him was kind of look, obviously I knew I was going to play with him at some stage, but to get to play with him around Augusta, him as defending champion or me as the Open champion, was pretty special, pretty cool. And it was a bit daunting. I have no problem saying that. People will probably wonder why I would say that, because I've been around and on tour so long. But it was a little bit daunting at first, the first few holes of the first round, and probably the reason for my average performance on the first day. But then when I got into it, I played good, and to play with him on Sunday was really nice as well. To play 3 rounds of him around Augusta, and especially on the Sunday. I know neither of us had a chance to win the tournament, but we were going out with the chance of having a decent week, and just to get to be around someone like that and to see the way he plays the golf course. I'm still trying to figure out in my own head how to play Augusta. Like, I don't think I've really mastered it yet. I played some nice golf there this year. I played a couple of decent rounds, so I was happy with that. I have a few positive thoughts and a bit of an idea going forward to April to how I'm going to try and attack the golf course. But it was a pretty special experience, and something that I have pictures and I've got videos from it and stuff, I suppose, that I look back on when I'm when it's all over and I'm finished, and it'll be pretty cool. Played with probably the greatest ever player on the greatest golf course in the world as well, in arguably one of the greatest tournaments as well.
I think you birdied the hole that he had a 10 on, obviously uncharacteristic hole for Tiger. I know you're always quick with a bit of humour. Did you have to bite your tongue to have a bit of sarcasm with him, or how did it go down?
Yeah, no, I beat him by 8 shots on the 12th, so I don't know if anyone's ever beat 8 shots on a hole before, but there was nothing much said for the next sort of half an hour anyway, but he started to play like Tiger Woods again then on the next hole. He birdied he birdie 5 of the last 6, I think. He was unbelievable for the last 6 holes then after that. And it was one of those where you just can't really believe what's happening, in front of you. And didn't really want to say much. My buddy Bo sort of said, I think I said it somewhere recently, but Bo kind of joked. Anytime he hit a bad shot or an average drive, he did to Joey, his caddy walking off the tee. He said that's like one of yours, Joey. And then, Bo said to me, he whispered in my ear on the next tee. He said, do you think now is the right time to say to him, I bet you wish Joe played that one? And I was like, I think we better stay quiet and just get on about our business for the next couple of holes. But it was mad, but it was cool to see the way he came back from it, because to be honest, if the shoe was on the other foot and it was happening to me, I'd probably just want to jump into the river and swim off and get out of there. But the way he came back, and obviously he birdied 5 of the last 6 holes. That's kind of, like I say, he started to play like Tiger Woods then. So that was pretty cool to watch him in full flow around there as well.
I got back. I do want to ask you a couple of things about that performance and a golfer's mindset. But first, I want to go back to Clara, and obviously last year you very much put Clara on the map of Ireland, and everyone knew where it was. And what was it like growing up there? And I know your dad and my dad are good pals from their endeavours on the football pitch back in the day. But it was very much a GA household, I'm sure, and golf came second, but very quickly rose through the household, I'm sure.
Yeah, a complete GA household. Especially as well, my mum has 10 brothers. Not all of them which played GA, but most of them did. And obviously my dad's family as well. I grew up in Clara, from Forban, so I played football for Clara. He played for Forban, but it was we lived, and still to this day we kind of live and breed GA down there. And even though Offaly are, we're not going through the best patch, we still love it, and we still go to every game or as many games as we can. My dad's heavily involved still and loves it. And just growing up, that's all we want to do. All I wanted to do when I was young lad was play football, and all I wanted to do was play for Offaly. And then sort of towards my teenage years, I started to play golf, and quickly, I think I'm just a competitive person. And I quickly realised that I was actually half decent at it. And then when you realise you're half decent at something, you kind of want to become better, don't you? So you kind of keep going. And look, I didn't know that it was going to lead me to where I am today, but it was one of those where I was just trying to go and be as good as I could be, and see where it left me. And the years when I've ended up here, and I'm very fortunate with that. But yeah, it was just growing up in Clara, like we're a football club mainly, not much hurling, just loved it. Played every sport though. I played a bit of soccer, played a bit of everything. Anything that was going on. I just love sport in general, and even to this day, that's the way I am. And yeah, it was I had a great childhood, going to games and going to training at the weekends and playing matches and playing for Clara. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I remember an event we did together where we had to take a rugby kick off the ground, a GAA kick, a free kick, and then we had to get as close to the post with a golf shot. And we were neck and neck. We both got the rugby kick, we both got the football kick, but the golf, you actually hit the post from 50 yards on the button. Yeah. You're obviously one of those guys that throws your hand at anything and you'd be successful at it. But what turned the gap for you when you were a kid? Was it the hard work and playing golf every day? What really brought you through that level to the next step?
So when I look back at it, Bernard, it was one of those where I just loved the game, and I just loved playing it. And I used to play a lot of golf from home. I wouldn't be seen, I'd be quite a social, outgoing person. And, it is a bit of a loner sport, as in, like, when you're growing up where I grew up, and there wasn't many kids that played. Like, I was probably the only kid in my school that played golf. So none of my friends played or anything. I used to go to Esker Hills on my own. And even my dad didn't play when I started playing. And I used to just love being out there. I mean, and even when I got to sort of my late teenage years, 16, 17, when all the lads were going out, lads would be going out to parties and drinking and, acting the idiot or whatever. All I wanted to do was play golf. I used to sit in on a Saturday night, clean my golf clubs, watch the golf on TV, go out, and I'd play 36 holes on a Sunday. And it just kind of, I just loved it. It was just a pure love for the game. It was nothing about hard work or nothing about, hours spent on the practice. I actually didn't spend any time on the practice ground because we didn't have one in Esker Hills. I used to spend time on the golf course, and just absolutely loved it. Spent every spare minute I could when I was a teenager playing golf, and like obviously it's paid off now. I didn't know at the time it was kind of working towards being a professional golfer because I didn't really know what that entailed or know what that was about. But when I look back on it, all that time spent out there definitely is a part of the reason why I am where I am today.
I was lucky enough earlier this year, your dad invited me down to play in Esker Hills. I got to see firsthand the nooks and crannies and weaves and hills and up and down. Was that kind of where you honed your skills, but the level and different holes in the Esker Hills are a bit of everything. Was that a bit of magic for you?
Yeah, I would say, it's quite a difficult golf course, especially for a beginner. And I would say the reason, I'm kind of known for my short game. People think, I've got a very good short game, and, I've worked very hard and over the years, but worked hard, like whatever. I practiced it, it was when I was a young lad. And because I used to play a lot of golf on my own, I'd have a few balls in my bag and throw them around the greens, and I'd just chip it, like trying to chip them in. And if anyone that's played Esker Hills would know, like there's a lot of raised greens, so like where the green's above the level of the ground, where you kind of need to be quite skillful to get the ball up in the air and stop quickly. And I think from doing that, just by pure repetition down there doing that, trying to find the hardest shot I could find and trying to play that, and as well as that, I'm watching Tiger Woods on TV, and on a Friday evening, and then I'm going out on the Saturday, and you're trying to kind of replicate what he's been doing. So, I didn't get very many lessons when I was younger. I used to get a few off a guy called Donagh McArdle in Tullamore, but it was more. There was a lot of it that was self-taught. So, then I met my coach Neil when I was 17, and we kind of hit it off, and he's still my coach to this day. So, just kind of, I think I'm very fortunate the way I learned the game, where I learned it and how I learned it, that I didn't spend a lot of time on the range or do it that way. And I still don't really do it that way to this day. I kind of do my own thing. And I just kind of, it's still a love for the game, that the reason that I play and the reason that I go out and practice. So, I fell in love with the game when I was sort of about 13 or 14, and Esker Hills has a big part to play in my whole, my whole golf and upbringing, I suppose.
Talk to me about what it was like in your house. Obviously, I had a household like that, about your dad, the legends, the 1982. What was that like for you growing up? Were you very aware of that Offaly, that great team, and what they did in 82?
Yeah, I don't think I was too aware of how big a deal that was when I was growing up. Look, I knew my dad. Like, my dad finished playing for Offaly in '93, I think. So I was only 6, and then he probably finished playing club football a year there. So I was still young when he was playing. So I do remember going to games with him, and I do remember, being around GA, and I knew he was quite good or half decent. And but I suppose as the years went on, you sort of see what people actually make of it, and only kind of up to last year, when you see what the Dubs did and actually did the 5 in a row, how big a deal it was for Offaly to stop that back in '82, and how big a deal it was for my dad to be a part of that. So you kind of see it now more so than I did back then when I was growing up. But yeah, we were pure G household, so it was kind of, that's all we did. And I do remember going to Dad's games and my uncle's games when I was younger, and it was all I wanted to do. And even when my dad managed Westmeath in the late '90s, and all I did, like I just used to hang out with my dad. Like I go and went everywhere with him. Like went to matches, I just went everywhere with him. Went to training everywhere with him, and that's how I grew up.
How have you found? Have you been watching keeping an eye on the 2020 Championship this year?
Oh geez, yeah. See, it's great. It's great for us we're in America. we get the matches in the mornings. You know what I mean? So my goal, it's funny, right? So my goal every week is, obviously there's matches on a Saturday and Sunday, and my goal every week is to play well on Thursday and Friday, so I can get a late tea time on Saturday and Sunday, so I can watch the GA in the mornings. It's nothing to do with doing well in the tournament. But yeah, it's been for the year that's in it, it's been pretty good. Obviously, I think the last couple of weekends have been extraordinary. When you see what the GA does to some people, and I think last weekend especially, or the weekend before last, the football provincial finals. Obviously the Dubs beat Meath. That was a kind of a given. But when you see what it meant to the Cavan people to beat Donegal, and what it meant to Tipperary to beat Cork and to win that, and it's just incredible what it does. And obviously, look, the hurling's been brilliant as well. So yeah, I love it. Like I have GA going, and I have the matches on in the house all the time. We rent houses, so I've got a bit of a dodgy box as well that I hook up to the TV, and I get the games on. And so everything on my Thursday and Friday revolves around what time the games are on at the weekend.
Brilliant, fair play. Your pal Hughie would have been delighted, obviously, with the Cavan victory. Yeah. Any hope for him against the Dubs, or even Tip on the other side? What do you see?
Well, I'm not much of a GA pundit, but I'd like to. I think, to be honest, I think Tipperary might throw the kitchen sink at Mayo, and they might give them a good going over. Funny, my Robbie Cannon, who I go to for strength and conditioning, is the strength and conditioning coach of the Tip footballers. So he's a very happy man at the minute. I'm just back. I was out there this morning, so he's buzzing. It's All Ireland semi-final week, and he lives down beside Croker, and he's like thinking about it. Being able to walk down to Croker to go to a game that he's involved with during the All Ireland semi-final is pretty cool for him. Obviously, look, nobody gives Cavan much of a chance. I think the Dubs, even though they haven't really, they haven't been tested a whole lot yet, I think they look like they're flying. The bits and pieces. I didn't actually see the Mee game, only on the Sunday game, the highlights, but the bits and pieces that I did see, they look like they're flying. Like, they look like they're on a mission. Kieran Kilkenny looks like he's on a mission to win Footballer of the Year. Brian Fenton is as good as ever, isn't he? They're just yourself, Bernard. They're just so good. And to be honest, I'll probably get a bit of stick off the Mayo crowd, but I find it very hard to see anyone even coming close to them in the next two games.
When you say there about the emotion for the Tipperary 80 years, 85 years since they won it, you walking up that the emotion of the Open last year, and 17th hole, 18th hole, what was that like for you? Like, been in a unique position that you actually, I know you had to get it done, but you were more or less there once we were watching it. Once it went off the tee in the 18th, we were all more or less comfortable. You get the job done. But what was that like?
Look, Bernard, it was something that something that it's hard to describe how I felt. To get to do that, in front of my home crowd, in front of my family and friends, and achieve something like that. And I it's funny. I mentioned there that Robbie, who I train with, trains the Tip footballers, and I was talking to him. I was in with him last week, and we were chatting. Monday, Tuesday, I go into him every day, and I was just saying to him, even no matter what happens for them lads now for the rest of the year, even if they go out and get beaten by Mayo, I know they won't be too happy. But at the end of the day, they really should enjoy this, because sport, and yourself, Bernard, like, you're obviously very lucky to have been quite successful with the Dubs over the last number of years, but sport is tough at times, and when you get something good happen to you in sport, you really need to kind of sit back and enjoy it and take it all in. And I know, like, the likes of the Tip footballers they'll be there, and all they'll want to do is not think about the Munster final and think about the All-Ireland semi-final. But for me, I would say, like, this is just the way I see sport, and the way I see it, this is what I do. Like, I just think they should really just enjoy it and embrace it, and go out and be their best the next day. And that's what I've done. And like, I got to achieve something that, look, we talked about when I grew up in Clara when I was younger, like, you couldn't even envisage something like that. You know what I mean? And I got to actually live something like that. And bringing the Clara jug down to Clara, just it was one of the only times I actually got emotional with stepping off the bus in Clara. and seeing thousands of people there just for me, like, and something that you put a smile on people's faces. So, yeah, it was one of the most amazing things that's ever happened to me. It was, I'm very driven and very focused on doing something like that again. But I always say that if it doesn't happen, look, I always have that, and that's not me. People, the outsider looking in might say, you're not very ambitious, or you need to work harder and fight harder for to achieve something like that again. But and I do, like, I work every day to go and achieve as much as I can in this game. I know I'm not stupid. Like, I know that it's hard to be successful in professional sport. So when you do something amazing and something like that, you really need to kind of embrace it and enjoy it, and realize that things like this don't come around every day, and that's the kind of thing I was getting into with the tip footballers. Like, at the start of the year, they're in Division 3. Like, I was actually, before the last lockdown, I was going to go down and watch Offaly playing against them in Semple Stadium. Robbie was going to get me tickets. Like, they're playing Division 3 football not long ago, and now they're in All-Ireland semi-finals. So they really should embrace this and really enjoy it. And look, throw the kitchen sink at Mayo and see what it gets you, because if you get to an All-Ireland final, it'd be unbelievable for them. But yeah. Sorry, I went off on a bit of a rant.
No, you're dead right. What stuck with me there is you say you always play with a smile. You're such a likeable character globally on the tour because of that, and your demeanour. But that works for you psychologically and from a mindset point of view as well. And you talk about the tip guys out there going out and enjoying it. I've always played my best sport when I've tried to just go out and enjoy myself. Not always the easiest thing to think about when a big game's coming up, but is that the mentality you've always taken, is play with a smile and just enjoy it, and it will figure itself out?
Yeah, I try to. It's hard at times. When things are not going well, it's harder to do, obviously. But when so we go back to Masters, it was only a couple of weeks ago, and I get drawn with Tiger, and I'm like, I kind of would prefer not to be drawn with him the first 2 rounds, because I kind of would like to go in under the radar a little bit and try and go about my business my own way. But I'm here now, I'm like, and then when I kind of take a step back and look at this, and I go, right, Shane, you're the Open champion. Tiger Woods is the defending champion. He's the greatest golfer of all time. We're in Augusta at the Masters, and you're going out to play with him in the first 2 rounds. This is something that you can only enjoy. Like, this is something that you can only look at and go, wow, this is amazing. And that's not me. Psychologists or other people would say that you really need to go out and focus on your own game, not worry about who you're playing with. It doesn't matter who you're paired with. But at the end of the day, like, it's Tiger Woods, so it does, in my opinion. And I'm very, when I'm nervous and when I'm, when things are not going well, or when things are going well, I'm very I'm outspoken about how I feel and stuff like that. So that's kind of the way I look at things. And, when I'm nervous, like, even if it's only on a Friday afternoon to make a cut, because you do get nervous, like, at certain times when you probably shouldn't be nervous, you do get nervous. And I would say to the ball, like, I'm shitting myself here. Like, I'm, and I've been successful enough in this game to not worry about making cuts. But at the end of the day, you still do worry about making cuts. You still want to play weekends, and you still want to be, do as best you can. So I try and live my life, and my life in general, about just going out and being the best I can be every day, and enjoying that. And if I do that, I know I'll do half decent at the game, and I know I'll make a decent living for me and my family. And that's kind of how I feel about it. And when I'm 50 and finished, or whenever I'm finished this game, if I look back on it and go, right, well, I've given it everything I can, and I've had a good time along the way, I'll be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, fair play. And breakdowns for all of the average and poor golfers like me out there. When you're going through, I'm always amazed at the mindset when you maybe do make a bad shot, how you can just brush it aside and get on with it. How do you actually approach a mistake, or when you're in that flow? How does that work for you? Do you just leave the mistake behind and just get on to the next shot, or you're obviously have to leave those behind you?
Yeah, so the thing is, for me, and I would say that I'm better at it than I was a few years ago, but I'm still not great at it. I would say, I'm lucky I have a caddy to kind of talk to and do that type of stuff. So you work it out amongst yourselves. Especially when I'm on a big run of tournaments towards the end, when you're getting kind of a bit fatigued and a bit kind of narky, it's harder than other times. So I just, like, you go out, you're trying your hardest over every shot. So I've tried it, like, I'm over a shot, I've tried to hit a good shot, I didn't mean hit a bad shot. So you just kind of have to move on and deal with what you're given. There's nothing you can do to change that. So it's all about moving on. And even, I would say that even I'm a bit of as well as, like, on the other hand, when I'm playing really well, I can get a bit complacent. So it's just all about, leaving whatever shot you've hit, whether good, be good, bad, or indifferent, behind you, and getting on to the next shot and just playing that, because even when you're playing really well and you get complacent, you start to become sloppy. So you really want to just focus in on one shot at a time. Like, and it's kind of, I don't really like the golf cliches too much, but that's one thing that really, really does work. Like, if you just try and focus on one shot at a time and add them up at the end of the day, and like I said, know that you've given it 100% that day. Sure, there's literally, like, there's nothing more you can do. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
Jim Gavin would love that. That's in the process, as he calls it, very much so.
Yeah.
When you come out of 2000, obviously winning the Open, amazing, and the celebrations in Clara was unbelievable. How has your mindset shifted since then? Obviously the celebrations went on and were brilliant, but do you have a new sense of confidence, or is it the same, just getting after the same things, or is the comfort of having the access to big tournaments, is that changed your mindset about how you're approaching golf?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I'm, if you thought, I'm kind of, so since I won the Open, if you had said to me the week before the Open, right, you're going to win the Open next week, and do you think it'll change you as a golfer and as a person? And I would have been like, it'll probably change my mindset a little bit. I'll probably feel different going to tournament. At the end of the day, I came out last year and I sat down at the end of the year and I was like, I really don't feel like, a much different golfer than I was 6 months ago or the week before the Open. I feel like I'm the same person, the same golfer that I was. Obviously, I've been very fortunate to win that, and I've got the confidence going forward that I know no matter what position I put myself in, that I'm going to be able to handle the pressure. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think, in my personal opinion, people might disagree with me, but this is just how I feel. I don't think that I'll be put in a more high pressure situation than that forever again, for the rest of my life, for the rest of my career, in golf circumstances. Going out with a 4-shot lead in the final round of the Open, in your home country with whatever many thousand people there, kind of, if I didn't win that day, it would have been all sorts of, it would have been, it would have been a serious letdown. So, the pressure that I kind of, that I took on that day and got through, can only give me confidence going forward. So I don't think I'm a different golfer, a different person, but a little bit more of a confident person going forward. Look, I haven't had the season I would have liked this year, but that's golf. I've had average seasons and bad seasons in the past, and I know that every day, every year is going to be different. But at the end of the day, the way I do it, as long as I'm comfortable in everything that I'm doing, and give it 100%, there's nothing more I can do. I keep harping on and keep saying that, but that's just the way I go about it. Like, I'm obviously more confident when I get into high pressure situations now and going forward, and it doesn't matter where you put me, I'll be pretty, I might not be comfortable, but I'll be comfortable-ish in those situations.
Coming into that, to the Open, was there anything, I'm always searching for that flow state of where you're in games and it's working for you, and you obviously had that weekend. Do you ever look back and say, oh, should I kind of recreate that? What was my preparation like? What was different that weekend and maybe other weekends?
Yeah, so when I look back on it, I was actually probably in the form of my life coming into the Open. I didn't think about it. I didn't think it at the time. Like, I had played, so I'd missed the cut at the Masters. then I finished third the following week in Hilton Head. Then at the US Open, I had a really bad first round and finished about 25th, which was I was pretty good for at the USPGA I'd finished 8th after shooting a really bad first round. I finished second in Canada, and then I had a really bad first round at the US Open, and I finished about 25th. So, and then I went to the Irish Open in Lahinch, and I felt like my game was really good. I finished about 30th, but I really did feel like my game was really good. And, I kind of looked at those other 2 majors that I played that year, and if I didn't, ifs and buts or whatever, hindsight, but if I had shot level par in both those rounds, I think I would have finished about top 5 in those 2 majors. So for the last 3 rounds in those 2 majors, I was one of the better players. And I didn't think about that before it, but when I look back on it, that's kind of the way it was. And I went up to Portrush with not a whole lot of expectation. Look, I expected to do well and I wanted to do well, but not a whole lot. I knew that it was going to be the Rory show that week. I knew everyone was going to be talking about Rory, and that's all it was going to be about. He had made such a big deal of it and look, it was a big deal. And I knew it was going to be about that. So I knew I could kind of come in under the radar, try and shoot a couple of decent scores and find myself thereabouts on Saturday. I loved Portrush. I knew the golf course really well. But like I had Wednesday afternoon, I went out to play a few holes with GMAC and I think we played about 7 or 8 holes, and I felt like I was playing awful. Like I was kind of we call it like a major meltdown. We always, you always go through it the week of a major. You have a bit of a head off and a bit of a bitch and moan to your coach, but it's kind of good to have that. I almost, on the other hand, I almost dislike when I'm feeling really good about my game going into it, because then my expectation higher, and I feel like I'm I get into that kind of complacent mode where I'm expecting to go out and shoot a good score, whereas when I'm a bit anxious is when I'm at my best, because it kind of focuses me in more on targets and what my job is. But as regards preparation, how I did it, I didn't do it. I don't think I did it any different than any other week. It just so happened that I went out there and played the golf of my life, and I knew I could go there under the radar, try and shoot a couple of decent scores, and before I knew it, I was leading the tournament on Friday, and then I kind of never looked back after that. I kicked on for the rest of the weekend, and but when I look back on it, sort of about 3 months beforehand, I was probably playing the golf of my life, and I just hadn't had the perfect results, but I was very fortunate that the perfect result happened that weekend, because the way I look at it in golf, right, and this is the way I look at it. This is the way I look at golf. For me, like people, the top players, the top 5 in the world, say the Rorys and Dustins and these guys, they try and peak their games for majors, but I don't think personally that I can do that. I just think that I need to just go out and be the best I can be on any given day, and I just have to be fortunate when it happens, because and I said this after the Masters. You look at Dustin Johnson shooting 20 under around there for 4 rounds, and winning by loads. I think I said it afterwards, and I've no bother saying this. If I went out there and brought my A game and played as best I could and got every break I couldn't have beaten Dustin Johnson that week, because that's just the way it is. He's a better golfer than me. He's the world number 1, and I'm not saying that when I get put in a back 9 on Sunday against him, if we're tied for the lead, that I can't beat him. I know I can, but the fact that he brings his A game, I don't think the best golfer, the top 2 or 3, him and Rory, I would put there. Maybe a couple of others that if they bring their A game, they can't be beaten. So everything went right for me in Portrush. Like I rocked up, I had my A game, I played as best I could. It was the perfect week. Links golf suits me down to the ground. It's kind of a bit of a leveler when it comes to the top of the world golf. Some guys can handle it, some guys can't. So as regards preparation and stuff, I don't really know if I did anything different. And I've tried to think about it and tried to look back and what did I do. I don't think I did anything different than what I would do in a normal week. And but it just clicked, and I'm very fortunate. And that's why I always say I feel very fortunate to have achieved that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm lucky, because years of hard work has went into it. It's not pure luck. It's obviously skill and hard work and determination and all of the above. But a bit of luck has to come into it as well.
Yeah. I've actually never heard an athlete say, or sports person say, they figured out how to get into their flow state and they had it licked, because that would be a perfect solution if they had.
Well,
2021.
Bottle it and sell it.
Yeah, you sell it, exactly. 2021, what's it going to look like for you? How are you approaching it? Are you're kicking off early in the new year, or what's the plans?
Yeah, I haven't got my full schedule. Like I'm gonna start off in the Middle East in January and try and pick up a few Ryder Cup points. That's my number one goal for the next sort of 7 or 8 months. So I'll start off in the Middle East, and then I'll get back to the States end of January, early February, and kick off my season over there. So yeah, it's I'm already looking forward to that. Look, I'm trying to. I'm taking a few weeks off golf, but I'm trying to train as much as I can and just get ready for what 2021 is going to bring. And yeah, so I'll start in the Middle East. Ryder Cup is the big thing for me, and I've been very vocal about it. I've been, not shy of saying it, and I'm probably putting pressure on myself to make it. But I think if I do everything I can and play as good as I can, I should make the team. But that's just the confidence I have in myself.
And I always ask myself that question about you when I'm thinking about the Ryder Cup. Obviously, I'd love to see you out there. Is that sport and that GA background or that team mentality? I think you
I think so, Bernard. Yeah, I think so. I think I just, I always see. Look, I'm very lucky to have the job I do and make the living I do from it. But I see teams, and I see the enjoyment people have after winning something, or even just the day-to-day training and being together all the time and the crack they probably have. I think I'd love that, so I'd love to get that for 1 week a year anyway, or 1 week every 2 years. That'd be pretty cool to have that. And I think I would kind of thrive in that environment. So if Pádraig is listening, I'm just kind of putting my best foot forward here. No, I think I'd be pretty good in the team room. And to be honest, I think, look, I wouldn't be a professional golfer if I didn't sit here and think that I'm good enough to make the team or good enough to play. So we'll see how it goes. I'll give my best for the next sort of 7 or 8 months, and hopefully I'm on that plane to Wisconsin.
I'm sure you'll take it out of Pádraig's hands, but you will have a nation lobbying for you with Pádraig Harrington to make sure you're on it, because we know you thrive in that environment. Before we finish up, the next few weeks you're just enjoying Christmas. You're going to enjoy the rest of the championship. A nod to the hurlers as well. Our pal Joe Canning got a knock, but we hear he's in better form. But you're looking forward to the next couple of games, next couple of weekends.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Like, I was very excited for that Galway and Limerick game at the weekend there, and obviously I know Joe fairly well, so I was half shouting for Galway, but he got a bad knock at the end. Luckily he's all right, but it's an exciting couple of weeks, isn't it? It's great to have Christmas. It's great that we're kind of coming out of lockdown. It's great to have the All-Ireland finals, semi-final and finals. So it'll be an exciting few weeks, even though, I give anything to get to Croker for a few games or for things to be some sort of normal. But yeah, I'm just chilling out with my family for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a quieter Christmas than last year, which is nice. And I feel like, to be honest, this Christmas will give myself, I'll have more of an opportunity to kind of focus on me and focus on getting ready for 2021. So that's what I want out of this Christmas, as opposed to anything else. Christmas is past. I've put down the tools for the whole Christmas, and then you kind of come back out in January a bit sluggish and a bit slow to get started. So I'm looking forward to kind of working as hard as I can this Christmas and hitting the ground running then in 2021. And obviously at the weekend we've got the GA, which is very exciting. I think the All-Ireland final will be a cracker, and Waterford have a great chance to do something very special. And obviously the two football semi-finals will be interesting. Everyone thinks it'll probably be a Dublin Mayo final, and then it'll be very interesting again. 2020, I was half thinking yesterday wouldn't be funny for the Dubs or Limerick, but it'd be funny if it was a Waterford Mayo double this year, after everything that's going on in 2020.
You never know the way things are going. Shane, thanks a million for your time. I know next year is a big year for you. We wish you all the best of luck. Hopefully catch you maybe over Christmas for a pint of Guinness, please God.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
But thanks a million for your time.
Over Christmas. Cheers. Yeah.
Thank you very much for tuning in to episode 3 of the Bernard Brogan Podcast. Our special guest this week was Shane Lowry, and as always, thanks to SuperValu, proud sponsors of the 2020 All-Ireland Football Championship. Next week, we will have my good friend and comrade Jack McCaffrey joining me, so tune in to that. Please check out OTB GAA to get the podcast.
This conversation was brought to you by SuperValu, proud sponsors of the GAA All-Ireland Football Championship for over 11 years.